All right. Next question is from Kareen. Yeah, okay. So hi, Dr. Bennett. It's Kareen, Nicola's former colleague. Yes. Hello. All right. There's a big wide panic in Europe about the virus being airborne and that the WHO has undertaken studies in this matter and releasing this information in the public domain, or is or isn't, but whatever. Yeah, it's been in the news. I know. Can you please shed some light on this as we are running out of face coverings worldwide and looting should happen very soon? What? I hope not. Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah. So the virus is airborne. It's always been airborne, but it's airborne in the same way as a rock is airborne if you kick it high enough, for a little while. There's no evidence that the virus can stay airborne indefinitely. It's just too big and heavy. And I don't even know. It would have to be anti gravity or something like that. I guess there may be ways with fancy proteins to kind of help keep yourself aloft or do a better job at catching the wind. Yeah, it could be built like little planes, I guess, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, there's some bacteria that seem to do it pretty well, so why not viruses? But no, that hasn't been shown. So the virus definitely comes out from up here and then goes through the air. It's gradually falling to the ground. At first, we thought it was like splattering on surfaces and people were picking it up from there. It turns out that's probably not a major way, although if you try hard enough, yes, you can infect yourself that way, I am certain. They also then it switched to respiratory droplets, which are when we talk, like I'm doing right now, we're going to fill the room with thousands per second of little tiny droplets of spittle that are big enough to contain a couple of viruses and statistically would probably contain a couple of viruses if you were sick. So these things are going to start out kind of big. They'll start out at like maybe 10 microns in diameter, 10 micrometers. And then they're going to be falling, 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 but very slowly. So it might take them, pardon me, like 10 or 20 minutes to actually fall below where you can actually detect them. From a particular study where they looked in a particular area. I'm not sure how big the area was, but that's the rate of fall they're talking about. And to get all the way to the ground, it's probably a little longer. But I guess once it's past eye, nose, and mouth level, it's probably less dangerous as it falls. But of course, if the person's still there, they're still breathing, and you're making a constant stream of brand new little particles. So yeah, it definitely is in the air and hangs in the air. The debate is kind of a silly one. It's whether or not this thing is truly airborne or whether it is in respiratory droplets that will evaporate over 15, 20 minutes and then fall to the ground. And the difference in size, so a small respiratory droplet is like 4 microns. The virus size is about zero point 0.1 microns. And as that 4 micron drop evaporates, it's going to get smaller, smaller, smaller. And if it had a virus inside, eventually you'd end up with a droplet that was exactly virus size. Yeah, and then how long does it take that to fall to the ground? Some amount of time. It's not going to be instantaneous. But yeah, it should fall, and it'll be, air currents and stuff will have some effect on that. Yeah, so overall, I don't know. I think it's a net positive thing that we're talking about this thing going through the air, but I think it's also a little bit overblown. So, net positive in the sense that if it's coming through the air, it makes sense, like intuitive sense, without having to use your brain too much, that you ought to wear a mask because that's how it's going to get you. A bit overblown in that people are worried. They're worried that this thing has like little propellers and wings, and if I speak here, my SARS coronavirus 2 could travel around the world, which probably not going to happen. They're still pretty fragile. They still break down fairly quickly in the air, especially if there's a lot of circulation that speeds up that evaporation. And that's probably going to help them either get moved away from you or fall out of the air, or potentially just dry the thing out to the point where the membrane cracks. And at that point, we think it is no longer a viable virus. It is probably a deceased former virus. Yeah. So that's what people are talking about. Yeah, I hope that doesn't lead to rioting. I hadn't heard about the mask shortage, but there's been mask shortages on and off throughout this thing. And I don't know if you mean like proper hospital masks or just regular civilian, masks. But there's some of those that are do-it-yourself. They'll probably be all right. Might end up going around in t-shirts and bandanas like an old west movie or some kind of weird apocalyptic I'll say fiction, but yeah, it's kind of happening. So yeah, as far as I can tell, that's the debate. I think the debate is fairly stupid because the difference between respiratory droplet and airborne virus, at least temporarily, is a matter of a couple of minutes, and the one would always turn into the other. So it's like, yeah. we're arguing about different ends of the same spectrum, and every particle goes through the entire spectrum. So what's the debate? I don't know. That's all. Thanks very much. This is Ask Dr. Ben.